Welcome to Egg Foo What? The first and only podcast about people eating stuff. Also, the only podcast that includes the bonus content. What do you think of that?
I've been so furious at you since about 12:40 this afternoon.
Mhm.
After that garbage you made me eat today.
Who is this?
This is Greg Wilson. I'm not even going to do a nice intro. I want to get into it. This was absolute disgusting garbage.
Okay.
This was like the culmination of all the bitching we've done for months about just a bunch of limp vegetables, including mushrooms and whatever, thrown together, and in this case, drowned in the goop.
Okay.
Like there's like a gallon of it. And it's like graduation day for disgusting goop dishes that we've been having for months. This is the only reason I'm not putting it below chow mein is it didn't smell as bad. Like it didn't make me want to leave the room smelling it. This was total and absolute garbage, an insult to everything, food and humans. And I don't know. I'm upset.
Okay. I'm not, you're welcome to your opinion. I'm not going to try and persuade you otherwise, but I've got a mind blower for you.
You
got your hands on your head? You got your hands on your head.
My hands
I'm afraid of skull fragments flying all over the room. You got your hands on your head.
Enough of the Nancy Pelosi jokes. Okay. Let's not make this political.
Okay.
Is this picture the real thing? I don't know why I asked anymore.
This picture is not the real thing, but it's similar to what I had. I always go for the closest, to what I had. But here's the mind blower, Greg. I see no difference, absolutely no difference between Four Seasons, which is our dish. I don't think we've named what we had this week.
It should have no name. Something this heinous, evil should have no name.
Hold on. Here's the mind blower.
Okay.
I'm convinced that what I had as Four Seasons is what I had as Happy Family.
Yes.
All right.
I think so.
But why are you more enraged by the Four Seasons? I don't remember you this enraged for Happy Family.
Because this was all mushrooms and the amount of, did you see this picture I sent? The sauce?
Yeah.
It was fully, like if the container was 3 inches deep, let's say 2.5, it was brimming. It was overflowing.
Okay.
I opened the thing. It splashed everywhere. That's how much goop was
heavy.
There.
Yeah, mine was heavy.
It was all the goop to a point where I'm like, the narcissist in me is like, is China finally listening to us and they just want to stick it to me? But I don't remember Happy Family being this terrible it's everything I hate thrown into one dish.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
other than racism, I don't like racism. But the mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on record for that.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say.
Let me give a description, and I think it's going to be the same description as the Happy Family.
I think so.
Mine had.
I think we've had a couple like this, not just Happy Family.
This is where this podcast is really going into.
Yeah. What?
Sorry. Interrupted. Sorry. I had a Greg Wilson moment where my phone went off, which is rare.
I mean, can you tell the ladies to stop bugging you for 1 hour?
Yeah.
Jeez. Or 1 hour, 44 minutes?
Yeah. So what I'm going to say is, let me give the description of my dish. It had chicken. It had beef. It had pork. It had shrimp. It had your basic melange of chunky vegetables, tiny corn, large chunks of pepper, carrots, celery,
The usual dream team.
Broccoli. Yeah, well, what I thought was the same was the Happy Family combination. You know, everything thrown together. What did I call that? The Chinese stew? The Happy Family?
Something racist like that, yes. Why you've been in witness protection.
So I'm saying this is the same dish.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to run back to my place and say, hey, wait a second. I thought I ordered the Four Seasons and I got the Happy Family.
Yeah.
If I did that, can you imagine the look on their faces that a complete madman has arrived?
I think that
not only did he get two dishes that nobody ever ordered before, but he's now exposed.
Yeah.
The scandal.
I think that's what
this is the Four Seasons Happy Family scandal.
And this Four Seasons Happy Family gate.
This is where, you know, I feel like I feel like John Stossel when he did that famous report.
Whoever that is.
You don't remember John Stossel? Okay.
Is he the ABC reporter with the mustache?
Let me tell you his claim to his claim to fame was he exposed wrestling as being fake.
It took somebody officially doing that? What?
Not only did he do that, but he paid the price. Some wrestler clapped his ears, and he suffered real hearing loss over his expose of professional wrestling. That it's fake. Did you know that?
I knew wrestling was fake, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I live and breathe.
Since the age of 9.
Yeah, I'm not 9 years old.
Somebody let it loose when I was 9.
Wait.
Wait.
First of all, we're exposing China for their bullshit with this, and now we're dropping the bomb about wrestling.
Yeah,
this is a special episode.
This is a special episode, hard hitting, not for the weak-minded.
No, I've had it.
This is the hard truth, and this is what I feared going into this project. That we would expose half of these dishes as being frauds.
Yeah.
So it's coming through. I mean, last week I had the lemon chicken. It was chicken fingers over a bed of broccoli.
So, at least it was edible.
It was edible. It was edible, and I finished that one.
And I loved my lemon chicken.
Yeah, you loved it. But this one I picked out. I have a new strategy now when I get a dish. I mean, of course, I didn't finish this. It was too much. Yeah. I offered some to my father, and even he turned his nose up at it.
Yeah.
So,
Jesus.
You know, so I picked out the things. I picked out the things I like. You know, I picked out the shrimp, and I picked out the broccoli, the baby corn, some of the pork. There wasn't much beef in mine, but there was a couple pieces. I tried to get most of the meat out. I think there's still some pork in there. But what I left is kind of a soggy mess, which will linger in my refrigerator for a couple days with the grand idea that maybe I would heat it up for lunch or something.
Oh, Mike.
But no,
Mike,
we all know it's a delusion. We all have our delusions.
Right.
And one of my delusions is that I don't throw out food, that maybe tomorrow, you know, I'll microwave this and have it for lunch.
You lived through the Depression, so you don't.
Right.
You know the value of food.
My parents were born during the Depression, so they've raised me on those stories. Even though they were 7 years old when actually they were, you know.
Oh, calling out more bullshit. Wow.
No.
This is a banner episode.
They were born in 1933, so they were very young during the Depression, so they didn't know better during the Depression and World War War II.
You're not eating these leftovers.
No, I'm not. But it's one of my delusions. You know, I have many, as most people have delusions.
It's called life.
It's called life. We need our delusions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you know, you've run into another nemesis. Let me ask you this, because people have been asking me, what is the difference between gravy and goop?
You mean egg foo young gravy?
Yeah, say that gravy. I mean, most people would describe what you call goop as gravy.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
it's
so.
a different kind of gravy.
Not if they saw this. No,
it's not the puffy gravy that you prefer.
Well, that is specifically for egg foo young. That they don't put that on anything. That is specifically for egg foo young.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you can order it separately and dump it on whatever you want, but that is specifically after you. All of this is just like a syrup. It's like if you soda at a soda fountain, you get that gallon of Coke syrup before it goes through the whatever.
Yeah,
that's what this stuff is. This is not gravy. This is some sort of syrup made out of I don't know what. I did the same thing. I picked out some bits I could eat, but the stuff was so drenched I could barely get through the bits I even pulled out, which was minimal at most. But here's the funny thing. I had even fewer bites than usual that I could fight through on this one.
Wow. Okay.
Yet I spent all afternoon feeling like, not that I had a tranquilizer dart shot in my throat. I was like, oh, I felt like I had a tranquilizer dart shot in my throat, and then I ate an entire bear, and I was just like, it was like after Thanksgiving dinner, and I probably had 5 or 6 bites of this garbage, and I felt I just wanted to lay down under my desk and go to sleep. It was awful.
Wow. Okay.
Like at least the chow mein got me so worked up. I was angry, and I didn't feel this. I was just like I was being punished for the few bites that I did have. Now I will say this. Once again, as a backup, I got the chicken nuggets. Now I don't even remember where I ordered this from. I just whatever random place, because I don't think every place has the Four Seasons or Four Season.
That was the problem. I thought you zeroed in on a good place that you were happy with.
Well, no, I mean
really?
Last week's, but that was in Richmond.
Oh, okay.
It's also random.
Okay.
And a couple it took me a couple tries to get a place that had Four Seasons.
Four Seasons.
But so to hedge my bets, just so I wouldn't starve, I said, well, you better get a couple of McNuggets in there. And what do you know? Just like I'm starting to pick up that every dish on this Cheesecake Factory wannabe menu is the exact same trash, I have yet to be let down. No, let down is the wrong word. I have yet to be anything but elated with the chicken nuggets coming out of these Chinese restaurants. I don't know where they come from.
All right. Yeah, I see like
another home run. I think they should just focus on, forget the rest of the menu, just focus on the nuggets.
Yeah, I was thinking ahead, that when we finally reach the summit, the mountaintop of having conquered the Chinese takeout menu, what will be our takeaway? And I think
we know what it's going to be.
You've already come to the conclusion that throw out everything, stick with the chicken nuggets.
Stick with the chicken nuggets.
I've gotten some feedback where I've seen online that the Four Seasons is not even a Chinese dish. That this is some sort of Chinese American thing. So it lacks.
Don't deflect. Don't deflect blame.
It lacks purity, and maybe this is why you didn't see it on all your menus. This is a specialty item that only a few restaurants go in for, and maybe the ones that don't have it acknowledge the fact that they already have this dish, and it's called Happy Family.
I love it when you get that tone, like your big reveal thing, and it's called Happy Family.
Yeah. That's what I've come to concluding here.
Yeah, just focus on the nuggets. This is I can't believe that there's going to be a worse meal than this, other than chow mein, because the chow mein affected all the senses. Like, at least this was just disgusting to look at and disgusting to taste. Thankfully, didn't have any scent. Now, what I'm also starting to guess is this goop, trademark Gwyneth Paltrow, if you want to partner with Egg Foo What, that is Gwyneth Paltrow and Egg Foo What, goop, call us. I'm starting to think this is an American thing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to guess that they have their Chinese cuisine, and then they're like, well, for these Americans, they're probably going to like 9 pounds of sugar sauce and syrup on it. And I would assume they're correct. Somebody's eating this trash.
Yeah. I'm wondering if, you know, because we haven't, this is, we're confined to the current moment.
Oh, that's deep, Mike.
But if one went back into the history of Chinese takeout,
it's a bumper sticker. Hold on.
Would we find, you know, maybe this is research we can do. We've been accused of not preparing for our shows. Have you seen that criticism?
Yeah, I saw that idiot. What? I'm sorry, not prepare. What are we supposed to do? The preparing is you eat.
Yeah.
That's the prepare. I'm sorry, this idiot, we didn't do enough research or something.
Yeah.
The research is I buy some food and I try to eat it. And then I talk about it. That's the research.
And we text each other, right? We have at least 2 or 3 texts before a show.
What was this idiot's name?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It wasn't a real name.
If he'd like to comment again and guide us, you know, I'm sorry, he's just sitting there with his arms folded. These guys didn't put in the work.
Right. Yeah.
Did he listen to the whole thing? Did he sit there for 2 hours and listen and then go, these guys didn't do the work? Idiot.
Not funny.
I spend my whole day. I spend my whole day as a writer dancing and desperately trying to please everybody who I don't know. This doesn't tell a story. All that means they don't have anything to say, but they get paid to. So if this, I'll say idiot again. If he wants to pay us, if he wants to pay me to do the research, sounds like an idiot who I bet he didn't get his vaccination because he's doing his own research. Congratulations, whatever his fake name was. I should have memorized it. If he knows of any secret research I should be doing other than eating what we say we're going to eat, fine. But other than that, fuck off.
What about the other part of his criticism? Not funny, not informative. Thumbs down.
Then don't listen. Fuck them.
All right. People forget people forget the non-listening option. But you know, people got to put it out there. You know, they had a bad experience. We've got nothing but 5 stars, but we've got like 3 1 stars. There's nothing in between. People either love us or they hate us, which is a good thing. I think that's a good place to be. I don't want to be milquetoast. I don't want to be milquetoast where it's like, you know, I don't know whether I like this or not. Well, I'll give it 3 stars. I'll give it 3 stars, 2 stars. You know? That's milquetoast. But
I'd rather he say, you know what, I listened to it. This sucks. You guys suck. Other than, man, it's under not enough. We're not putting in the work.
Yeah.
Idiot. I'm sure he'll listen to this and then come back with another clever comment. I don't know. They're not telling a story.
He's going to have to create another alias.
I'm sure. Whatever.
To come back at us.
Not doing the research.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, you know, that's the podcast game. There's haters everywhere. You know, it doesn't, you know, I mean, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but most people are enjoying themselves.
No, I'm not sorry. You know, this idiot wants to, if he's such a, you know, write up all this research and I'll read it. And I'm sure he'll just send, you know, Wikipedia article. But, you know, where's all this research? You know, I mean, did this idiot read Anthony Bourdain and then or watch Bourdain? I don't know. He's not doing the research. It's not enough for him. Well, tell us when it's enough research. He's back in the lab waiting for us to catch up with him. Whatever.
Okay. So yeah, we might as well give a rating here. No reason to belabor the point. You say you're going to vote, rate it slightly higher than the chow mein.
Yeah, chow mein. I'll rate this as chow mein plus 0.1.
Okay. I mean, I can't remember what I rated Happy Family. I'm not chronicling. Maybe that's where I'm not keeping my research going.
Yeah. But I hope this pleases this gentleman. I think I do have my score written down. I hope that's good enough for him.
You're keeping records and of your observations.
Okay. Ironically, I have listed every score except Happy Family, but no.
I mean, I think I rated Happy Family around 6, 7 in there. So yeah, I can't rate it more. I'm going to give it the lower rating, 6. If I got to this before Happy Family, maybe I would have been more angry at Happy Family. But since this is a what I'm going to call fraud, I've got to knock it down a little bit.
I mean, yeah, this was straight up offensive. This was like, I'm just going to dump some crap into a bowl. I'm going to shit into this container and then dump as much goop as this container can physically fit and give it to the city. 4, this is how offensive this was. And I never notice or care about these. You do. This thing was $19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yours was $19?
$19.
Mine was expensive. Yeah, they didn't give you the small option. It was mine was at least 15, I believe.
And what's the 4 in the 4 seasons? Is that the 4 different kinds of meat?
I guess so.
How do they reflect the seasons? What the fuck is that? Is beef winter?
Well,
chicken is
that's
spring.
where the yeah, well, that's where the American part comes in, and I guess they say, well, hey, in America, parts of the country has 4 seasons.
Oh my God!
Let's name
that's how they want to make me warm up to their culture. Oh, they love America. They love America and their 4 seasons.
Let me finish the point I started before I derailed. What I'm going to say is that maybe in the history of takeout, like different dishes were popular. You know, I mean, we talked about how chow mein at one time, I think, was like the standard dish.
Yeah, I think that was Chinese food in the 50s, pretty much.
So maybe there was a period of time that we're unaware of where the 4 seasons became popular, you know, and it came and it went. You know, Happy Family rose to the menu and established, you know, a fan base. But then as time went on, it sunk back into the menu. This is just a theory, but
well, it sounds like an unresearched theory, Mike. So I'm gonna have to call bullshit on you.
Well,
I don't feel like you're putting in the work for.
Isn't that called a hypothesis? Right? I'm going back to high school biology, when you know the scientific method.
Gee,
you don't remember the scientific method?
I mean, I graduated high school, so I should know this.
Remember, it all begins with a hypothesis.
Hypothesis, yes.
Yeah.
X will happen because of Y.
Yes. So that's my hypothesis, and maybe we'll discover over time more research that this was the case.
I think my hypothesis is they're just assholes dumping goop into a container and giving it to me for $19. That's my hypothesis.
I'm wondering because I think the MSG content in my dish was so strong. I could taste it. I could smell it. Maybe that's the secret ingredient that differentiates it between this and Happy Family.
Is that what could have like knocked me out for 4 hours?
It wasn't just a heavier smell, right? Did you have a heavier smell?
I didn't really notice the smell. I can still smell the chow mein. Maybe my nose hasn't worked in 3 months ever since the chow mein. So that might be. But I'll tell you another thing that threw me off. Was it last week? I waxed so poetically and rhapsodized about, oh, gee, does having the Chinese symbols does that make it more authentic? Whatever. This place had the Chinese symbols.
Okay.
And so that kills that hypothesis.
Okay, there you go.
I had
the scientific method.
The scientific method has disproven that hypothesis, but I have a feeling it will not. My hypothesis that these are just assholes throwing goop into a container. I don't think that's going to be disproven. The way we're going.
Let me ask you this: you're on the record, not a fan of mushrooms, not a fan of shrimp.
Right.
My dish had both of those.
Yeah.
What became of those as you were eating?
I ordered it without shrimp.
Oh, okay.
But it's on top of it being whatever I've said it already is. We don't need to go overboard. It was more mushrooms than have been in any of these.
Yeah. When I looked at your picture, I said, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
I just saw all the mushrooms, even some burnt ones. It looked like
Four Seasons.
So I'm thinking, oh yeah, this was not a good experience for you.
No.
Okay. Well, we're on a that's a tough one.
And it almost knocked me out. I had to run and get a vanilla latte at 4:30 to have the energy
to finish the
to
day,
even make it to this podcast.
Okay. So
I don't know, and it's not like I stuffed my face. I had over the weekend. Now I shouldn't have because I had over the course of two days, I had 4 egg foo young patties and fried rice, and I felt, I was dancing, like I was floating.
Yeah, okay.
It was no problem. This thing, I had a couple of bites, and that's what I lay down in the street and let myself be delivered to the Lord. Pitiful. 4 Seasons.
Now I saw these videos. You were really stepping up your egg foo promotional game. I'll give you that. You're putting out videos regularly. You've enlisted these very young kids. I hope are they being compensated?
They weren't enlisted. I mean, I know them personally. They weren't, they didn't answer an ad.
I know that. But I hope you're compensating them because they are cute as a button. Is that a phrase people still use?
No, you just made that up. the William Shakespeare of Chinese food podcasts.
You've got these young kids singing your theme song, and they're diving into the egg foo young at a very young age.
Yep.
And they're enjoying it. One of your young friends described it, which was a good description. I didn't think of. She described it as being similar to a pot pie.
Yes, which I thought was very astute. Now I'm trying to get a campaign going. You can't have egg, for the next generation. You can't have egg foo young without the young. I don't know if that's creepy or weird.
Yeah, that may be. But we might have to scratch that one.
But you should know. Number one, I did compensate these kids. I gave them free food, so you're welcome.
But did you get their leftovers? I'm thinking they didn't eat 3 patties.
Right, of course I did. Okay. But also, not only do these kids eat, these are 2 kids who don't eat.
Really? Okay.
Like, even by standards of kids who just dick around with their food and then wait for some dino nuggets, these children don't eat.
Wow. Okay.
That's weird. And the fact that they not only tried it, but liked it.
Yeah.
That's something.
I was impressed.
Yeah. I was impressed. I was surprised. That's what China needs to lean in on now. Egg foo young and chicken McNuggets.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with them. They liked it. They even had the gravy they liked. So, I mean, I'm doing my part to let these food traditions live on the next generation. So,
on last night's Best Show, I relayed to Tom Sharpling your idea of having him try egg foo young.
Yes.
And he was tentative. So I can't confirm that he will have the egg foo young. He's hoping to be able to record with us next week.
Ooh, official announcement?
I don't have him nailed to I don't have it nailed down yet, but that's what we're shooting for next week sometime.
Okay.
And
well, I would prefer. I'd like him to try egg foo young.
Yeah,
because that's the baseline for us, and he is. Let's be honest, a special guest.
Yes.
And I'd like for him to try it, but
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good idea. That's why I passed it on to him. And I know how difficult it would be for you to do the dish that he wanted to do, which
I heard you talking to
spicy shrimp.
Yeah, you were really selling this. You were really selling the shrimp. He's like, gee, I don't know. What should I have? You're like, shrimp.
No, I didn't say
Lots
a
of
word.
shrimp.
I didn't say a word. He brought it up.
Boiled shrimp, shrimp kebabs, hot dog shrimps.
He brought it up.
Shrimps on a stick. shrimp sorella sticks.
Yeah. No, I didn't bring it up. I didn't suggest anything. I let him choose himself, and that was the dish he chose. So I knew this would be a dilemma for you.
Well, and then you quickly threw me under the bus about me kind of fibbing about my being allergic to shrimp. So thank you for that too.
I wasn't the one who exposed that. I kept that under my hat for weeks until somebody on Apple Podcasts brought it to the front.
Or until somebody casually mentioned shrimp during the best show and you leapt up to announce, to expose me. A lot of exposing the BS this week, Mike Lisk.
Well, I'm being upfront about the problems it would cause. I was thinking of you, Greg.
Thanks, buddy.
You're always on my mind.
Always on your mind.
You're always
that's a good spot to be. If you have me always on your mind, then things must be going pretty well in your life.
Oh yeah. I'm right there. I'm right there, man. You know I'm right there.
If it's all boiled down to, okay, everything else is taken care of. What's Greg up to right now? Then you are...
you have no idea, Greg. You have no idea. I've got to think of other things. I've got to think of other things.
Hey,
you're in the mix, Greg. You're in the mix.
If thinking about me makes you happy, then I am honored. But whatever he wants to try, that's fine. That'll be fun. So that'd be great if he can come on next week. Now I noticed you didn't mention my idea about covering his chubby checker.
I know.
Bit.
I want to protect you, Greg.
All right, that's creepy. Okay. Your voice got real soft there, and like soft focus. I want to protect you, Greg.
Greg, here's the thing. You know, I think of myself in my heart of hearts.
When you're not thinking about me.
I think that's the first time I've ever used that expression. So take
heart
that
of hearts?
for heart of hearts. Like we've got multiple hearts.
Well, you came up with heart of hearts. You came up with cute as a button. I hope we have somebody transcribing.
I'm going into
stuff.
The old cliche bag for this show. And but here's the thing, Greg. I think of you as my little brother, and I want the best for you. I don't want you to be embarrassed. And I think doing a cover of another person's comedy is just not a good look. Think of me. What if I wanted to do the George Carlin 7 Deadly Words or whatever? You would look at me askance, right? I mean, like, why would you do that, Mike? Right? It's been done.
First of all,
it's been done.
I look at no other man askance. It's a policy. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I would love it if you would do George Carlin. A tight 5 of George Carlin.
Okay, maybe you're onto something. Maybe you know. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of young people aren't familiar with some old comedy routines. So yeah, maybe we can corner the market just covering the best of old comedy.
I mean, I'm just saying, you want to make money or not? That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I could do the Bob Newhart button down man routine, the phone call, right?
Oh yeah.
What are some of your comedy favorite hits?
Well, the number one, my big 2 were, of course, Bill Cosby himself. Can't do that anymore.
Since disgraced.
Thank you, Bill Cosby himself.
Which one? Was it the Fat Albert routine?
No, that was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Although I used to do the chicken heart from that era. No, himself is the one, like if you watch the pilot of The Cosby Show, a big chunk of that came straight from his HBO special that it was in 82, I think.
Oh, okay.
Himself. It's about, the dentist and Jeffrey on the airplane. And also in 8th grade, I did have Billy Crystal's album, You Look Marvelous. I had that thing memorized back in the day. After
okay.
Yeah,
this is interesting.
I'd eat lunch, or as you would say, wolfed it down. And then out in the hallway, all my friends would be standing there, and I would just recite that album, "You Look Marvelous,"
Really? Okay.
which is still a great album.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so interesting. He was a great comedian back in the day.
In the 7th grade, on a sly, I would be
Oh.
watching. I watched. That's when they started running Monty Python.
Oh yeah,
on PBS, and with nudity. You know, there were Carol Cleveland was exposing her breasts on that show many times, which was like, I was floored as a 7th grader.
Are you about to talk about a comedy routine, or just you want to talk about breasts?
all I would have to do, because none of my classmates were watching this, it was on fairly late. I think it was on at like 10:30 at night, Sunday nights. So I basically watched Monty Python, go into school the next day, and basically do little bits from the show. And I'm killing it. I was killing it.
Wait, would you pretend that it was your stuff?
No, I wasn't pretending it was my bits. I'm telling them it's from the show.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't have access to it. I was doing this on the sly. My parents had no idea what the hell Monty Python was. I was a free range kid. We were pretty much
free range kid. That's another one. Damn. I can't keep up with these,
we'll get back to the free range again. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's the one great thing I had going in my family. I wasn't my media wasn't being monitored. Like, my books weren't being, what is this record?
Yeah.
There was never, there never was like real, like a purge, like, get this garbage out of here. I described an episode with Cheech and Chong's album, which I made the mistake of playing. Our stereo was in a living room at that time, and I played that record, and yeah, my mother did not approve of that. Particularly the nuns, mocking of the nuns, which she went to Catholic schools.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
But I did not have to throw the album out or anything. But it was just, what is this? So I had a lot of freedom that way.
Yeah, we were the opposite. It was always turn the TV off. We couldn't. I remember All in the Family would be on, and my mother would be like, "Turn it off. Your father's coming home."
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was very different. The only way I was able to go to see the Ramones when I was in high school was I convinced my mother they were a cover band of oldies. I made a tape of all because they would always have 1 or 2 per record.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so I just showed her. I made a mixtape of all their covers and just showed her. She didn't even listen to it. I just showed her the title. I just had the titles written down. I could have written down anything.
All right, you made it.
And
convincing argument, huh?
Yeah, so she was like, "Oh, it's okay. They're an oldies band." So, but yeah, we very different in terms of all that stuff. But I will say, although it's funny now that you mentioned what your parents could let you get away with, and I mentioned Bill Cosby himself, I will say, and maybe psychologically, this is why even as a kid I wanted to be funny. My father was very serious guy. He just wasn't you wouldn't think that if you know me. Very serious, not a nonsense kind of guy. The hardest I ever saw him laugh, really the only time I saw him like really let loose laughing, was when I played him part of Bill Cosby's himself.
Okay.
The part about I thought my name was God damn it, my brother's name was Jesus Christ. So is it God damn it, get in here, and Jesus Christ, get out of the ring. That routine.
Okay.
So that's interesting. That was the hardest I ever saw him laugh. But also in terms of, I wanted to accuse you of taking credit for Monty Python for taking those bits, and there might be a little guilty conscience creeping in from me, because in 6th grade we were instructed. I mean, the teacher said, gave us homework. We had to write a play, when I say play, I mean like half a page worth of a quote unquote play. Yeah, basically. And I had just, for some reason, lying around our house was the collected plays of Neil Simon, which I think just got tracked into the house somehow because my parents were big readers. That's all they did was read, but they weren't reading comedy books. So, but my mother being a librarian, maybe this got swept up somehow and got brought into the house, and I discovered it, and I loved all of them: Barefoot in the Park, Come Blow Your Horn, The Odd Couple, Plaza Suite. But my number one, even to this day, is The Star-Spangled Girl.
Yeah,
I love
with that one at all.
I could not stop reading it. I love it to this day. And so I got the bright idea, I'll just snag some of this and write it down. That'll be my. I mean,
wow. Okay.
I didn't cheat. As crappy as a student as I was during my career, I didn't really cheat a lot. I wasn't even bright enough to do that. But so the next day, the teacher's like, okay, everybody reads their skits, whatever. And I read it, and everybody loved it. It laughed so hard. The next day, they all asked me to read it again.
Wow. Okay.
And I just could not bring myself to admit, it's only 11 years old. I mean, I barely lost.
Wow, but you got credit. You got credit. Is this the first time? Is this the only time you've ever revealed this? Has this been a deep, dark secret?
I think so. It has nagged at me. It has nagged at me for a number of years. Now this being sixth grade, it was totally disposable, and I'm sure by the next day nobody remembered it. But if anybody is listening from Miss Hunley's sixth grade class at Essex Intermediate High School, I'm sorry. The theme of this episode seems to be uncovering fraud, and on that day and the next day, I was a fraud. So I apologize for that, but I will recommend everybody read The Star-Spangled Girl. They turned it into a movie.
Marsha Mason?
No,
she's not in it.
Marsha Mason. What the?
Well, wasn't she in a bunch of Neil Simon things?
No, Sandy Duncan.
Sandy Duncan, okay.
Was the man. It's awful. The movie is terrible. It looks like it was made for $4. It's awful. But if you just read it, it's laugh out loud, funny. Made me fall in love with Neil Simon, like everybody should.
Really?
The stars.
Okay.
What's this?
I thought he was a
Excuse
square.
me?
I thought he was a square.
He was a playwright.
Even when I watched some of those movies, and I'm like, this is like comedy for squares.
Would you want him out rolling around with the Stones or something? He was a playwright. I mean, what did you expect?
But it was so conventional, and I was already into George Carlin and all this stuff, and it just seemed like Squaresville to me,
Well, I mean, you don't like The Odd Couple?
The Odd Couple, yes. I mean, I watched The Odd Couple when I was a kid. It was on every day, and The Odd Couple was unavoidable.
Not the TV show.
Well, the TV show was my first impression of Neil Simon, and I guess he wasn't involved at all in the show, was he?
I don't know. I mean, I'm probably the same way. The TV show's fine, but it doesn't compare to the movie, much less the script. I mean, we have Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Not that Tony Randall and Jack Klugman aren't great, right. but I would recommend.
No, I've seen the movie. I've seen the Odd Couple movie as well. It's fine.
It's a great movie. But it reads like maybe there's something about Neil Simon's, like Barefoot in the Park. Have you seen that? It's got.
I don't think so.
It's got Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, and the movie isn't half as funny as if you just read it. So I don't know. There's some disconnect there.
So you're telling me Neil Simon is laugh out loud funny on the page?
Yes.
Wow.
There's two books that I read as a kid, and I mean like as a 11-year-old and I'll say 15-year-old. Collected plays of Neil Simon and Woody Allen's Without Feathers. Those, if I had to choose two books that have fomented whatever wannabe funny comedy mind of mine, I would list those two along with Bill Cosby himself. Not that we can talk about it anymore.
Without Feathers. What was the other one? Without
Feathers, and that's the collected plays of Neil Simon. There were three different volumes.
Okay.
But the first volume is the best. The second one's great because it has Biloxi Blues and Broadway Bound and Brighton Beach Memoirs.
I agree with you on the Woody Allen books. I mean, I was a fan of those books. Getting Even is the first one.
Yeah.
Without Feathers. So we're bringing up all the comedy scoundrels, but those those early Woody Allen books were very funny. You know, I had my big moment in the third grade when I thought I could be funny. And I didn't rip off Neil Simon to do it.
I did apologize. I already apologized.
I was an original.
Mike.
I did original material, but I did lean very heavy on Roger Mudd's name to get. This is third grade, so Roger Mudd to me was one
broadcaster.
Of the most, yeah, the news guy.
Wow.
Yeah. So the first time I heard his name was Roger Mudd, of course, I thought it was hysterical. I was in third grade, Greg. I don't know what age is that. But
for me, it was 15. 10. 9 or 10.
It's in there. Yeah, it's a very young age. But I thought it was hysterical. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that. It was a similar type of assignment. I had to do like a little maybe news broadcast type thing. And I leaned heavy on just Roger Mudd, you know, saying his name. And I was getting howls from the class, my classmates. So much so, like you, my teacher was so proud of what I did that she marched me across the hallway to do the same thing for another class. And I killed it in there too. So, you know, third grade was a sort of, I guess, a pivotal year for me because I had a great teacher. And that's where this was the teacher who read, the same teacher who read The Telltale Heart to us, which I don't know if you could get away with that today. But that got me interested in reading.
Wow.
And then she encouraged me with, trying to be funny. So from that point on, I was sort of very funny kid doing, I loved writing these little stories. If we had to give a speech, I could usually get laughs. I mean, all the way through high school. I mean, it started in third grade, but I kept it up all along, and was still getting big laughs in high school doing that stuff. But
nice. Do you remember any of the Roger Mudd?
No,
classic comedy.
All I remember is that was just the name would get laughs from. I mean, it was enough, But hey, I'm a third grader. I'm not studying comedy. I'm just a third grader who was amused by Roger Mudd's name, and then just sort of exploited that.
I mean, it's impressive if you could. It's impressive if you could drag that out 5 minutes. I mean, how many times can you say, "Hello, everybody, I'm Roger
Yeah, there
Mudd."
may have been some silliness in between saying Roger Mudd, but yeah,
did you at least tie it back and like Mudd? Is he related to the doctor that set John Wilkes Booth leg? Something like that. Did you at least go down that path?
Let's go to Roger Mudd. I think I tried to work it into.
Oh no. Say that again.
Let's go to Roger Mudd. That would be like one of the lines.
You know what?
Yeah.
That is funny. You got me.
Let's go to Roger Mudd.
You got me. That's pretty good.
But
pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was just something I kind of accidentally stumbled upon, but I was encouraged. And it was sort of a nice moment. And like I said, I kind of was encouraged to do it from that point on. So
Mrs. Who's Berenger, this wonderful teacher?
Berenger. Yeah, Mrs. Berenger. I wish I could, I've tried to find her on Facebook. Sometimes you can find these old teachers,
You think she's still, how do I say this?
Alive? Yes. She was a very young teacher too. Very pretty, as I remember her too. I may have had a young Mike may have had a little crush, my first crush.
That's like me looking up my teacher's skirt as she read A Wrinkle in Time to us, the Golden Palace of the Himalayas.
Yeah, there was nothing like that going on in there, but
innocent times.
Yeah, innocent times.
Wow. Roger Mudd. I will but to put a bow on Neil Simon, One movie that is funny of his that's overlooked, laugh out loud funny. I own it on Apple TV, so things are pretty good over here. Seems Like Old Times. You ever seen that?
I think I've seen these. I mean, I've seen some of them. I mean, after a certain point, I was like, oh, Neil Simon, it's
well, it wasn't
bourgeois.
It's bourgeois. It wasn't a yeah, bourgeois.
It's
bourgeois,
it wasn't man. Bougie.
Bougie. A bougie square. Who knew?
Yeah, he's a bougie. He's for the
Who knew that some guy born in the 20s who's trying to make money on Broadway would be such a bougie square? Where's my country? But this wasn't like, it wasn't a play. This came out in 1980, so it was different from that batch of iconic plays that was in the 60s and 70s. It was kind of a standalone thing. It was Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn and Charles Grodin, and also Benson. Robbie Guillaume was in it. Laugh out loud movie. Read The Star-Spangled Girl. Watch Seems Like Old Times.
Hey, I'm already struggling with To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm struggling.
You have not finished To Kill a Mockingbird?
No. But here's what happened.
You need to go back and tell Miss Benninger or whatever. Berenger that you cannot read To Kill a Mockingbird over 3 weeks or whatever.
But I've gotten to, you're talking, you were knocking Eudora Welty about, eccentric Southern characters. But what do you think you have in To Kill a Mockingbird?
Nothing like Eudora Welty. I mean, well, come on.
Mrs. Atkinson.
She's got the one neighbor who's a little wacky.
Yeah,
that's it.
So I got to that chapter, and I'm like, oh, this is cutesy. I mean, it's getting cutesy. I mean, I know it's not going to continue getting cutesy.
It's getting cutesy up in here.
But I like. Not only do I dislike extraneous detail in books, but
which we talked about. I agree with you in that.
I don't like cutesiness. I don't like sentimentality. You ever read The Prayer for Owen Meany? People love that book.
But I would suggest that if you don't like sentimentality, don't pick up a book that has the word prayer in the title.
But it's
what book based on someone's childhood does have sentimentality in it? I mean,
well, yeah.
What books are less?
I understand. The narrator is a young girl, so I mean, it was bound to go there.
That's misogynist. That's
this
if we were on a TV, if we were on a TV screen
vocabulary,
right now, I would be sliding off screen so nobody associates me with this.
I mean, how old do you think? I've already blanked out on her name.
Oh my God! Wow.
This is how much I love this book.
Yeah. I think your feelings about Miss Berenger are based more on her looks than her making you love reading. Scout.
Okay. How old is Scout when she's narrating this book? Is she an adult in the future, or are we?
She's an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My God.
But I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm not gonna.
How far along are you? I mean,
I'm only like 5 chapters in.
Oh my God! All right.
No, I knew it was going to be a slow read because it's not doing it for me. I've gotten to the point now where books, I read a lot when I was commuting. I used to, I'd have like an hour and a half sometimes each commute. And
Nothing's
so I was knocking books off left and right, Yeah. But now where I'm sort of on my own. I mean, the pandemic sort of helped me out because I was kind of, my thing was I was going to read to exhaustion because I wasn't working at the time. So my sleeping schedule got all out of whack. But my
when I decide to do something that takes me to exhaustion, I can assure you it is not reading.
All right. Yeah, let's go.
Sorry.
So anyway, so I starting to do a lot more reading, but lately the book has got to grab me and hold me to keep me going. Frankenstein did that. I was kind of looking forward to it every night, knocking off a couple chapters. This one I was already down to like, maybe I'll do a chapter a night, but then I've already skipped a few nights. So it's like, after Mrs. Atkinson, what was her name? Maud Atkinson.
Maud Atkinson.
Yeah, that's the name of the character.
Well,
the neighbor.
I mean, then you should stop because
No, I'm going to keep going. It's a classic, right? I want to be able to talk to people. I watch stuff just to be able to talk to people about certain things, you know. But like when a television show becomes sort of the talk of the town. I mean, as a bartender, I had to have things to talk to people about, you know, things, you know, sports is the great sort of
equalizer.
glue for speaking
Yeah.
to men, you know. If you don't know, if you don't like sports, it could be, you know, hard for you to talk to other men because sports is
Yes.
like the weather. You know, it's just a thing you
Well,
can talk about. It's chit
that was
chat.
my
It's chit
yeah.
chat. It's not important, but it's like a way of talking to men.
Well, that was why when I was younger, I thought my game, if during a job interview, was if I could just derail this into getting the guy talking about sports, then I'd be good, and it usually worked.
Yeah, it's a good strategy, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I feel for these guys. A lot of guys aren't into sports, and it's like, well, what are you going to talk about? Well, I guess you can talk about TV, but it's become less so because
Right.
TV is so scattered now. We don't have four channels anymore.
I can't talk about TV to anybody anymore. Nobody watches my shows. So
yeah, well, you're Mr. Anglophile. I can't even talk to you about your shows.
You can talk. You can talk to me,
talk
Mike.
to you about your show. But
you can talk to me, Mike.
Every once in a while, you just, you know, certain HBO series, you know, Game of Thrones, which is really not my thing.
Yeah,
but so many people were talking about it. I was like, okay, let me see what this thing's all about. So I've watched shows just so, you know, I can interact with people about certain things, and it's usually like books that may have, you know, very popular. So yeah, I'll force myself to read things that I don't particularly like.
Really? I've never, I don't do that. I don't watch stuff. I mean, if somebody says, hey, you know, I think you'd like this, or this is great, or whatever, but I don't care about if there's a buzz. I feel the need to if it doesn't. I feel like I kind of know what I like.
Yeah. No, that's your way is the best way. Because
Thank
this
you,
way,
Mike. That's nice of you to say. You didn't have to say that. Thank you.
Because
what are we talking about?
You're sticking to what you like, despite the fact that nobody else is watching it.
Yeah.
No, that's the way to go. You know, I mean, you like what you like, you stick with it, and you know, you're enjoying yourself.
It's not to say I'm not pleasantly surprised. Like True Detective. Like I don't know what prompted me to watch True Detective.
Which season?
Well, when I say True Detective, I mean the first season, not the trash that came afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because it's McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Like, it's not my genre. And I loved every minute of it. So it's not, you know, obviously.
You loved it? Okay. I thought, see, I watched it. I thought it was ridiculous. But, you know, that was one of those buzzy shows. So I watched it. Actually, I thought Colin Farrell was in the next season.
Yeah,
I think that one I liked better than the first season.
Oh,
it had Colin Farrell and the other guy from Swingers.
So you can barely stomach To Kill a Mockingbird. You didn't like the first season of True Detective. You liked the second one.
Yeah.
And you somehow.
Well, when I say that, I like it more than the first season. I just thought Matthew McConaughey was just over the top ridiculous in that first season. You know, where he was always like this profound. He thought like every line of dialogue was supposed to be some sort of profound revelation, and he just came across as a total idiot to me. That character.
Between those critiques or opinions and your tight five set on Roger Mudd, I'm starting to get a picture.
Yeah, well, that's the goal of this podcast.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, if somebody specifically says, "Hey, I really think you'd like X," of course I'll give it a try. It's you know, it's easy. You know, just turn it on, and if after 20 minutes I don't like it, I don't like it. But I don't feel the need to pick up on the buzz. I mean, there's too much stuff anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you try to keep up, it's pointless anyway. So I just assume, you know, nobody's watched what I watch, so it's like, I mean, there's plenty of stuff I do watch other people. I love Abbott Elementary. Is this thing on?
Yeah, no. I have my distractions, and
yeah,
I'm doing a three-way conversation here.
Yeah. So
you have no idea.
I'm not without my, connections with things, but in general, I've learned to, I like what I like, and it's probably not the majority in a lot of these cases, and that's fine. That's okay.
Did you try and get into the mood for Halloween? Did you watch any scary movies? I actually watched.
Well,
I watched a movie based on I think it was your last October. You read the haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah.
Was that last year?
Yeah. Yep.
Now you didn't care too much for that.
No, totally stupid. Yeah.
I mean, did you see the movie version?
I think I started to.
Julie Harris, Claire Bloom.
I don't think I made it past. I think I got it and then just kind of drifted away from it. I haven't.
It's a little silly,
the book, but I didn't like the book at all. I don't know why I even bothered with the movie, but what's your thoughts on it? Should I watch it?
Well, I didn't read the book, but I watched the movie. It's silly. I mean, I was reading about. Well, actually, there's a Martin Scorsese documentary about Val Lewton. He was a producer. He wasn't even a director, but he was behind a lot of these sort of cheapy B movie horror movies.
Roger Corman.
Yeah, but in the 40s, he did the original Cat People. I Walked with a Zombie, and they're sort of, a lot of people like them. They're sort of artsy horror movies. They're not, they're not gory at all.
What's his name?
Val Lewton. He was a producer. There's a documentary on Turner Classic Movies. Maybe you can find it on their app. Martin Scorsese. I've heard him talk about some of these movies before, but I haven't seen a lot of them. I only saw the two I mentioned. So there's a whole bunch of others on the Turner Classics. So I'm going to start watching some of those. I'm trying to find some new good stuff. You have a nice Halloween. Did you have a lot of kids coming around?
Well, yeah. I was down in Richmond, as you know, with my buddy and his kids. He's got 3 kids, and one's my goddaughter. And so I got down there Wednesday night. Halloween was a 4-day bacchanal of every day. It's a different costume. It's a different place to go to get a bag full of candy. By the time the button on top was, by the time Halloween came around on Monday, it felt anticlimactic, and you're like, shit, this is still going on? Like, we're still so, but here's the button, like, just to make sure I couldn't make it through this wonderful, delightful kids holiday without being insulted by a child. I trick-or-treating, we go over to a friend of ours' house, and I go in, and they make a point of, and they're funny about it, they bought my book, and they were like, oh, we autograph it. I was very touched that they bought it, and it's nice. Very sweet. It's very nice, sweet. And I was like, oh, that's, and I sit down, I barely sit down for 2 seconds. This kid, I never met this child before. Like, I don't know, 3rd grade or whatever. Comes walking up, doesn't even walking up to me like from afar to signal, hey, I'm coming over to talk to you. Swings around my side of it, my peripheral vision, with her phone, sticks her phone in my face. Doesn't say hey, hi, whatever. Sticks her phone in my face to show me, yeah, she acknowledges I have a book. She's showing me her book on Amazon. Just shoves it in my face. Doesn't say a word. Like, here you are, asshole. And like, mic drop.
She one upped you. She one upped you, man.
One upped you. And so then I'm like, I got to be Mr. Sweetheart.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so I make a big show of like, oh, and then the story goes that.
What was the name of the book? Do you know? Remember the title?
I don't want to say what it is because I don't.
Okay, yeah, sure, all right.
My tone may be
that
I'm shitting on this kid.
You're taking a revenge,
which I am a little bit.
A little bit, but, a whole bit.
So then I'm like, doesn't say hey, doesn't say hi, whatever. And so next thing you know, I'm buying this stupid book. It's same price as mine, 11 or 12 bucks, whatever. And I'm like, I make
pages.
a show. I make it. Oh, let's get to that. So I make a big show of like, oh, that's so great. You wrote a book, and I'm gonna, I buy it in front of her, like, oh, and then she just skips away.
She made a sale. Maybe this is an approach. Maybe she just gave you a sales approach. That
just you go up to random people
in a bar. Do it in a bar.
Yeah. Didn't say thanks. Didn't say that's great. Didn't say, oh, well, let me buy your book now. Just skips away. And then, I look, it's 22 pages. Now, when I didn't even look.
With illustrations?
Well, of course. It's 98%.
You got burned.
Pictures.
You got burned.
I love it, though.
So I love the self-promotion, though.
The chutzpah. She might as well. This thing was. She might as well just
a third grader.
Yeah.
Wow.
She might as well.
I'm talking about my little moment. This one's selling books. I wasn't selling books when I was in the third grade.
This thing was so in my face. She might as well just slowly pushed it until it was literally up against my face and just slowly smushed my face into it. And then skips off.
They call that the hard sell. That's what they call the hard sell.
I mean, when this book, next week I should just read the book for the book. I mean, it would take 30 seconds, but so that was like, the final humiliation. Like, F you.
She made eventually did she say ka-ching as she was skipping away
in her head. Probably
give you a little ka-ching.
Called her accountant. Another one. It rings the bell. Back up the money truck.
Did she have any reviews? Did she have a lot of reviews?
I didn't look.
More reviews in your book?
From like herself, probably. This is amazing.
No, I had here's my let me lay out my Halloween for you. First thing, I had to go to Bayonne. I had to see my doctor. It's been a year.
That is spooky.
So I've been off my blood pressure medicine for a few weeks. I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go in and get the bad news because I know what's coming, But I was just my one concern was that it was going to be so high that I was going to be sent to the emergency room, which happened, a couple of years ago.
After 3 months of eating goop.
Well,
I don't remember you going to the emergency room.
Yeah, no, I was having, this blood pressure thing's been going on for a while now, and so my blood pressure was high. I got back on the medication. Hopefully, I'll be fine. But I'm not really monitoring it. I should be more on top of that. But anyway, I get back to Howell, and so it's about 4:30. So the trick or treating's still going strong. So I took over from my sister who was sitting with my father, and so I enjoy, seeing the kids with the costumes. It's kind of a pity that their parents are all out in the street waiting. As a free range kid, our parents wouldn't.
Free range kid by Mike List.
Our parents wouldn't think of going out trick or treating with us. We just grabbed our pillowcase. The pillowcase was what everybody used back then. I don't think I saw any pillowcases. But the kids were funny. I like seeing the kids. This one particular girl, and she was tiny. She must have been, like maybe 5 years top. She was very young, maybe 4 years old. But she's with a bunch of bigger kids. So she's in the mix. I had my pot of candy. And I just put in some sampling bags, and then I had some spare bags if I went through that. And I give these kids credit. I mean, they, I was telling 2 each. I felt generous. I'm telling them 2 each, and so they're grabbing they got a keen eye. They're zeroing in right on what they want. They can see it.
Yeah, right past your carrots. No, sir, my parents not this year.
The parents are away. They're not monitoring them as they're grabbing the candy, which is, I'm glad they didn't do that. Although I think I saw some kid, and she said she couldn't have Snickers with peanuts and so on. So there was some monitoring of the candy itself. But anyway, so these kids are zeroing in on what they like. And the one thing that was popular, I was surprised, because I was never a big Twix fan. You a big Twix fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a Twix fan. It's okay, but I wouldn't think of it, unless it just, showed up,
That was the big surprise. I mean, kids were
kids love the Twix.
Yeah, I don't know if the gold wrapper was easy for them to see. They'd go right in to grab it. That was a surprise.
Gold wrapper.
It's got like a gold wrapper.
What Twix do you have?
I don't know.
Isn't it a red wrapper? Is it a gold wrapper?
Well, maybe it's a new thing. It's gold. It was gold in my variety pack.
Gold wrapper.
Yeah, gold wrapper.
Formerly known as Kanye. Hey-o!
So this one very young girl, very tiny. She's in there with big kids, and so they're grabbing their 2 pieces. She grabbed her 2 pieces, and then she I don't know if she was doing this consciously, but she sort of faded behind the bigger kids, but her arm just kind of sneaked out. And she was continuing to grab some more candy. I mean, it made my day. I enjoyed that. It was funny.
We'll keep an eye out for that kid in the future. She's got a bright future ahead.
Hey, she was going for it. She's got the gusto.
I like it. She should
she had a little strategy. She just faded behind the bigger kids, let that little arm sneak out.
Yeah, she should team up with the in my face author. The 2 of them could take over the world at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, good Halloween.
Yeah, no, it ended on a good point. And then, the big question is, when are they going to stop? Because it got dark, it gets dark early now.
Yeah.
And
well, these kids were trick-or-treating in the rain where I was. Didn't stop them. Rain, dark, sleet, snow, then in the post office.
So it was getting dark, and I'm like, when are these kids going to stop? There weren't a lot of big kids out, The big kids are kind of annoying. They should have given it up, but they're still out there. I only saw maybe two big kids who I thought, like, hey, you're a little old for this. But
did you get in their face?
I didn't get in their face. The parents are right on the sidewalk.
Really?
Yeah.
Double losers.
No, every trick-or-treater had their parents on the sidewalk. There was I didn't see one group of free-range kids, which is kind of a shame.
Free-range kids by my list.
It's a shame, though. I mean, I understand it. You have to be protective now.
Was this his neighborhood? Like, because we were we just hunkered down at our friend's house, and all their kids just ran around the neighborhood by themselves, and they would come back like every 20 minutes, but then go back out again.
Yeah. You dump, and you go back out. That's how it works. But that's. I mean, I'm in the house that I grew up in, so this is my neighborhood. And it's a different world. It's
you tell these kids, I used to run Halloween around here back in the day.
Yeah.
Little shits.
And when I got too old for the trick-or-treating, then I went in for a little bit of horrifying the kids. One year I put a sheet over myself and jumped out of a bush.
Was that
the next year?
I was going to make a Alabama in the 60s joke, but that's not fair. That's not that.
Well,
that's
I would have fit right into Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, here we go.
I was the oddball kid.
Here we go.
I was the oddball kid jumping out of the bush. Then the next year I got more creative. We set up this sort of like mini sort of stage. Well, it was made out of a hockey goal, which and a box and a box on top with sort of curtains, so they couldn't see that I was in there. I was sitting on a chair in this thing, and it was like a little box that had a curtain on it and said, reach inside for the candy.
Oh boy.
And I was in there.
Does this explain why you were missing from 1971 to 1978?
So I had like makeup on my face, and I had some water dyed red, and I would spit up this red water. When they reached in there.
Nice.
They just saw my head, spitting up this blood red water.
That's a good Halloween experience. I didn't have any of that. Yeah.
But we were creative back then. Is this still going on?
No. No. They just get the costumes, run around. They get way more candy than anyone could have dreamed of. That's just how it is. I grew up in the country, so you'd wander down the road to one house, and then be like, fuck this, and you just, that was it.
Yeah, that's the problem of you being in a rural neighborhood. It's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Now we wait for Christmas.
Now we wait for Christmas. You gonna skip over Thanksgiving?
No, I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
that's
I know. I know. That's
but it is odd. It is odd. I was reminded. It's strange. It's such a fun, spirited, made for children holiday Halloween is, but there's only been one real Halloween hit song.
Yeah.
Is Monster Mash.
Yeah.
From 100 years ago. Now there's other songs like if you see a list, oh, this is about how
about that Spooky? Is the how about Spooky? Do you consider that almost like a Halloween song?
What is that?
Spooky.
Oh, just keep saying the name. Yeah, okay. Got it. What?
Yeah, asking me to sing is not a good move.
Well, who's it by? What I don't understand.
Do I have to Google it? Yeah, I guess I'll have to Google it.
I mean, like there's been bands throughout time that have a quote unquote spooky ghost song or whatever. But Monster Mash seems to be the only one that was. The band was about Halloween, the song was about Halloween, and then they never gave a shit about doing anything before or since. I'm just surprised that for such a fun holiday, there's no real oeuvre.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you dig, I actually put together a sort of a Halloween mixtape for the company Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a bunch of songs, let me find this stupid song. It's bothering me now because I did a little goof. I did a parody of this song. Spooky. Yeah. Lydia Lunch, I think, did a version of it.
Come on. I mean songs that somebody on Earth would have heard.
No, this was it's the classics.
Lydia Lunch did not have a hit.
It wasn't a hit. She covered this song.
I'm talking about songs like Christmas music. Every
year
you
hear this music. I'm playing the music.
That's it. What? That's a love song. Nobody hears that and thinks of Halloween. Yeah, that's not a Halloween song.
Well, it's got the word spooky in it. I'm looking at a video. It's got a weird looking witch ghoul on it.
Born in the USA isn't about a children's hospital, maternity ward. No,
it was by Classics 4, which is probably one of the worst names for a band, and no wonder I forgot it.
That's a love song. Nobody thinks of that as a Halloween song, right?
Well, it's got the word spooky in it. I was like I said, I was trying to mix up this Halloween mixtape. I had a Ella Fitzgerald song. I can't think of what it was, but I would just go for titles to try and tie it into the Halloween mood.
I mean, if
it was a pretty good mixtape, it went over well.
Yeah, no, I think you could put together a nice mixtape of quote unquote, spooky songs, whatever. But Monster Mash, I feel like, is the only hit that was pure Halloween, created for Halloween, by Halloween.
Actually, I saw Jason Gore, one of the producers on the Best Show, Boris Pickett, right? That's his name.
Yep.
He had a follow-up to that, and it was terrible. It was another.
Well, of course.
The Monster Swim, it was called. Did you even know that such a song existed?
I think I was aware. I'm sure I Wikipedia'd him at some point. I'm sure they scrambled to have a follow-up. Just like Let's Twist Again.
Mm-hmm.
Although that was actually a hit. No, I'm calling BS on your spooky hypothesis.
Yeah. Well, what can you do?
How do you feel about your buddy Elon Musk taking over Twitter? You're bigger Twitter than I am.
I could care less. I'm not a fan of Twitter, so is it really going to make it going to get worse than it already is? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, he just seems to want to just, instead of using his money to solve real problems, he just seems to want to be a dick on Twitter. But I did have a epiphany yesterday. I think I'm done. Other than promoting this show or reading my books, I think I have to finally hang it up on social media. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to just stick to promoting the shows and promoting the best show, the different things I do with the best show, promoting this. That's kind of all it's good for now.
I just finally had for years I've always had this thing where I have this joke that nobody's put more content out in the world that nobody gives a shit about more than me. I've been blogging for 17 years. I do Facebook and Twitter and Instagram every day, and because I think, oh, this is funny, that's cool, and then nobody got fewer likes than me, nobody got fewer followers than me, but I always thought it was like normal, like, oh, we're all in. And then it started occurring to me recently, like friends of mine or whatever, like, who don't post at all or whatever. If they do post anything, they get a ton of likes, a ton of this and a ton of that, which doesn't really matter, like doesn't mean anything. But then I start thinking, like, even my friends aren't liking anything I do. So then it's like, so then it's just depressing. It's like, well, what am I doing?
Okay. Well, this is going to be another moment where I step in as the older brother and say, you can't tie your self-esteem to social media. And
no, it's not self-esteem.
Yeah, it's self-esteem.
It's not self-esteem.
I'm hearing self-esteem problem. And that's all social media is doing. It's creating more problems for people, particularly young girls, and where it's all about looks and posting photos of yourself and all that stuff. I mean, Instagram is just, people are telling, oh, Instagram's cool. It's just photos and stuff. And you know what? It's maybe worse, because Instagram is just looking for attention, posting photos of yourself, and people, you read these stories about people having, a bad reaction to their social media, the bullying and all that. So it's like, it's not a force for good.
But I don't even see it as that. It's just, I realize, because I usually try to be good about whenever my friends post something, I like it.
Yeah.
Either because A, I just generally like it, or B, I want to show my support.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and then it dawned on me, I'm like, I don't seem to be getting any of that from 99% of people I know. So it's a little bit like nobody gives a shit. So what am I trying for?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna have my blog. Whatever I want to talk about, I just do my blog, and that's it. Nobody wants to hear from me.
Yeah.
It's like my friends.
Well, I like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say, oh, do my friends hate me? But it's like, it's a little like, I don't know. It's just a little depressing. So I'm like, well, all right, nobody wants to fucking hear from me, then that's fine.
One explanation is maybe they're not even on there looking themselves. I'm not going to try and make explanations, but I think the best thing is just to, don't take it personally. But here's the thing: so many people do take it personally.
I mean, it's just hard when you feel like it's your friends who just like either ignore it. Or actively go out of their way. Like, and I've had people go out of their way to let me know they don't read my blog, and I'm like, well, what? Okay, that's nice.
Well,
great.
What's the point?
And of course, none of this really matters. But I finally hit the point where I'm like, well, wait, nobody else is. I don't want to say give so much, because obviously nobody cares. So it's not like I'm giving out treasures.
Right.
But what am I doing this for? So it's like, okay, fine. And and I'm not doing some announcement.
Here's an
I'm not,
idea, and this is
let me finish.
okay, sure.
I'm not doing an announcement. I'm off Twitter, I'm off Facebook. I still want to see other people. I still want to, you know, the pictures of kids and whatever, and I still want to like things. So I'm happy to do that. But nobody wants to hear from me, then that's fine. Nobody wants to hear from me, and I just have to accept that, and that's fine. I have extra time. I'll post whatever this, and that's fine.
For myself, I'll speak up and say I enjoy your post. Here's a way to approach it. And this is kind of the way I approach it. I try to just post things that I find amusing, you know. And if other people find it amusing, good for them. If other people hate it, you know, I don't care. You know, I'm kind of just doing it to amuse myself.
Well, you have
so why not take
the difference is, but the difference is you have a fan base. That's different. I'm talking about I've picked up nobody in 10 years. I'm not joking. I probably have fewer likes or whatever per percentage of content or whatever in the world, which at one point I thought was normal. Now I'm seeing anytime any of my friends post anything, automatic 50 likes or whatever. And again, I know I sound silly. I'm a grown man talking about likes.
Yeah.
But it really hit home recently. I'm like, all right, nobody wants to hear it. And you know, I gave it 10 years. Nobody wants to fucking hear it. All right.
But that's what Twitter is. I mean, it's, you know, you can see the most inane drivel by some celebrity and it gets a million responses. It's the most inane drivel. It doesn't change the fact that what was posted was inane drivel. So the likes thing, it's all subjective. Who cares? You know, I'm not a celebrity. You're not a celebrity. So yeah, I mean, if I get some likes and stuff, you know, it's nice. Okay. But I do it just for my own amusement now. You know.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I told myself for years. But now I'm starting to feel like even my friends don't seem to like anything I do. Because I was very brazen. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. I'm just doing this stuff and da 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 da. But then it hit home. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm not saying people actively screw Greg, but it just seems to be a big vat of indifference. So you know.
Well, let's look at it this way. Egg Foo What is getting you more attention. I'm getting people are telling me they love Greg. You know, he's funny. You know, where'd you find this guy? Yeah, you know, I just known the guy for 20 some odd years. He's one of the funniest people I know. So why wouldn't I want to do a thing with him and just amuse myself? You know,
one of the funniest.
Well, I'm fortunate. I've known some funny people. You know, you know, if you know one funny person, it's great, right? But so yeah, I mean, people are enjoying what you're doing. I would just say step back, maybe step back, you know, and take a breather. I mean, I've done that, and it's like, you know, you don't miss it. There's nothing to miss. I saw somebody use a term, and I was like, what? They talked about how they were going to delete, get off of Twitter or whatever, and they were lamenting the fact that they would lose their social media life.
Oh God!
And that's like an actual term. I mean, that wasn't just one person using that thing. Other people use that. Social media isn't life. It's not. It's just a goofy
but I think
thing.
we're talking about two different things. You're talking about putting out things in the general public. I'm talking about. I've never cared about that. I've always assumed nobody I don't know is going to read. Nobody. But it's really hit home that the people I do know personally don't seem to give a shit. And that's what I have to accept. And that's
well, that's unfortunate. You know, I mean, I get it. You want to support.
And again, I'm not.
Yeah, would it kill you to throw the guy a like? Yeah,
well,
I mean,
and again, I'm not saying it's a purposeful thing. It's not a this. It just seems to be the way it goes. So you know.
Yeah,
well. And I still want to see everybody else's stuff, but I'll just be happy to keep plugging along on Extra Time for the next 50 years, and you know, and that's fine. So. This was a little more honest than I was hoping to be for these podcasts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so, we never know where we're going.
It's just a bummer. I just realized it's just a bummer. That's all. So
I don't think it's not a unique experience. I think a lot of people on social media, this is one of the downsides of it. You know, there is a downside to it. You know, when Facebook came around, it was like, oh, we're going to be in touch with everybody. You know, and it has some, you know, if your family's spread out across the country, you know, it's a way for you to keep in touch. But then there's lots of negatives. The people who run these companies don't let their kids on them. There's a reason. They know what it is. It's addictive.
But again,
it's addictive.
But again, I'm not editorializing social media in general and how shitty it is. I'm just talking about in my lane. I've realized it's pointless. It's just a waste of energy.
But yeah,
because if even my friends aren't getting it a shit, then what's the point? So that's all.
Yeah, but my advice.
And I feel free saying this, because they're not going to listen to this either. So, so you know, that's an exaggeration. Yeah. That's some law. But,
well, I'm out there listening, and we're having fun on this, and that's the main thing, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm still gonna have fun. So it's like, all right.
Let's just keep having fun, and we'll kind of end it here on this bummer.
Yep.
Because I don't know if I can lift us out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the clock.
I'm being outsold by a third grader with my books.
We've ended. No, that was fun.
My friends can't stand me anymore. And what else do we have? And I can't drag you, and I'm dragging you through To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I think we've
good spot to end. But we
thank everybody for listening. Hit that subscribe button. I know everybody's listening on other platforms, but we subscribe hits. You know, they're always welcome.
But we do have a big event, hopefully for next show. So if we can make the Tom thing happen, that's fun.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If he thinks he can keep up with me, both comedically and intellectually.
I'm hardly going to be on that show. I'm going to step back, and you and Tom are going to have a good old time, and I'm going to be laughing in the background.
No,
that's how I see the show. That's how I see next week's show going.
What if I just?
It's going to be the Greg and Tom show.
What if I decide that's the show I'm just going to be moody and sullen on? Like,
I'm hoping you got it out in this episode. You know, the self-hatred. Should we call this just self-hatred episode?
Yeah, the Greg bitches and moans. So no, but actually, this is
we're rooting for you, Greg. We're rooting for you.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, yeah. So sorry, Facebook and Twitter, but actually, not sorry. I'm still going to be seeing people. So no. Anyway, so hey, another great week, another good episode, and next week will be even better. So
looking up. Stay tuned.
Dun, dun, dun.
Egg for what out?
Egg for what out?